everyone, happy Saturday. We're so glad you're with us today. This is Miss Dorette and I'm Ivy. Today we get to be talking about homeschooling, something we both have experience with. I was homeschooled and Miss Dorette was a homeschool teacher for many years.
Ivy, why don't you share some points about what makes homeschooling good for you and your family, or even some of the things you learned growing up as a homeschooler?
Yeah, well, as I was just kind of looking back and thinking about my homeschool years, just so you know, me and my brothers were all homeschooled all the way from little years through high school. And I think what can be hard is just when you're in the moment and your kid is throwing a fit, because right now I'm,
with toddlers, yeah.
A toddler. It can be hard and it can be frustrating. It can be frustrating when they don't get it. And I think we can get stuck in those little moments instead of thinking of the big picture.
Yeah.
So I love what you said about how are we looking at this big picture of what is important right now,
right.
Especially because a lot of you are in the midst of like crisis schooling at home. This was kind of thrown on you. So how can we have a good perspective in the midst of this and find joy in it? And when I look back, I just think about how wonderful it was that I got to spend all day with my family. Yeah. I know that really helped me have a close relationship with my parents and have a close relationship with my brothers, and that's a blessing. Your kids are going to look back at this time and have those memories of the things they got to do together.
One thing was one of our goals as a family was that our kids would love to be around us when they got to be adults, and they would still love each other. And I think that was one of the wonderful things that happened because of homeschooling.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. And I also loved what you said just about incorporating the Lord into everything, because Weston can randomly ask me a question about God or something that's going on, and I have the opportunity to stop what I'm doing at that moment and incorporate that into what we're doing right then and there. And just scripture memorization, Bible time together. I mean, now that you're a homeschool mom or dad, you can start your day with that, and you can incorporate that in your learning. We did, most of all of our curriculum was Bible-based, and it is amazing to see how God can just be woven into everything that
it's like
you're
a
doing.
tapestry, huh?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So I think that was another thing that I look back on and think fondly of and am grateful for. Another thing is just that, like you said, you can incorporate learning into everything. Like the other day, Weston really wanted to help me with laundry, which I was like, yeah.
Learn early.
Yeah, and he wanted to sort the socks. And so he was learning how to sort and learning how to match, and then he would count how many he had and how many brother had, and I was like, oh, well, this is educational, and he's being a helper. So I think just that idea that any moment can be an opportunity for learning.
I agree. That's awesome.
And then I think another thing that's really cool about homeschooling is that it can be self-guided. So if your kid is just randomly interested in, I don't know, insects or I don't know, my brother was super interested in computer science stuff and pretty much taught himself computer programming languages in high school before that was a thing.
Wow.
And now he's a computer programmer. So just recognizing what is my kid interested in, and I can stop what we're doing in this moment and zero in on that enthusiasm that he has and run with it.
I've noticed too that if your kid is really interested in one certain subject and you feel like, well, I got to get on to the next one, you don't necessarily have to do that. That's the wonderful thing about it is, gosh, if you're rolling and you got 4 or 5 hours of just talking about geology or whatever it is, and then you can move on to the next thing. Yeah. Go with their passion. That's good.
Yeah, and I think going with that is sometimes it's hard. Now, from a homeschool mom perspective, it can be hard that there are times when they're going to throw fits. There are times that they're frustrated that they can't get it. Math was my hard part of schooling that I
and
had
new
plenty
math.
of
Who
tears.
knows how to do new math?
But it can be hard. It can be frustrating. But I think what is a blessing as a homeschool mom is I can stop what we're doing and I can just give my kid a hug and I can just love on him, pray with him to start over with a better attitude, and that's okay. We can just pause, maybe read a book together, snuggle if we need to.
Go on a walk,
and
get outside in the sunshine, do something different for just a little bit, and then come back and do it again. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So I think those are most of my thoughts as far as homeschooling experience of being homeschooled and now getting to be a homeschool mom. It was a beautiful gift, and I'm so grateful I had the opportunity to do it.
That's awesome. A lot of you probably feel like I'm not prepared for this. And one of the things I think that is so wonderful to remember is God created you for this moment. I mean, it may feel like it's out of your comfort zone, or you're just feeling like, I'm not sure I'm called to do this. And some of you probably are not called to do it for long term. But when you have something thrown on you like this, God gives you the grace for the moment. And I just want to
that's so
encourage
true.
you that there is grace for right now. And I mean, we're experiencing that in every other part of our life.
Yeah.
And those of you that are homeschooling, I know that God's grace is there for you too. You know, some fun things to think about is you went all the way through high school. And I had 2 daughters that did that, and both of them went on to college. One of them went on to get her master's and then went on to get her PhD. I mean, it's like a badge of honor to me. I raised a PhD.
Totally. You
No.
can take credit for that.
But getting through those days, and also, the other thing I want to mention, I think that's really important, is there is a mentor role in teaching, and there is the teacher role. Because when you're young and they're learning their colors and their numbers and how to read, it's different than when they need to be self-guided, like you talked about, and they're going to look at a book and they have to learn to love reading, love the subject that they're in. And that's good for all of us because we want to be lifelong learners.
That's
we
good.
want to have that heart that we always want to be learning more about the Word. We always want to be learning more about how we can love our neighbor or how we can serve better in our church or all those things. That passion can be on the inside of us, and it can be birthed from even right now as you're homeschooling. We just want to thank you so much for watching, and thank you, Ivy, for being with me. This was so great, and we believe you can succeed and still love your kids at the end of the day. God bless you.